Hi guys, welcome back, it's Gabby. This is A2 Media Studies General Revision for Section A and B. I know a lot of people will be doing different case studies to me, so I will be doing general tips, theories, and exam questions, which will be beneficial for everyone. Here is a content page on what I will be covering. If you want to go directly to a specific thing, scroll down to the comments and there will be some time codes, if that's what it's called, to directly go there on this video. So I will start off with introductions. I think they are very important when writing your essay. I think introductions create a really good impression for your examiner because they're going to be looking at loads, not even loads, hundreds of papers, and a really good introduction will shape their impression on what grade they want to give you. Generic introductions are good, but to really push yourself and get to the higher marks, I would say you should define the features that the question is asking you to do. So like audience, marketing, global appeal, etc., or like representation, narrative, genre, etc. Define what it is. So these are just general sentences on what they are, and the sentences may change and be different depending on the question you get. So don't copy it word for word because you may be disqualified by WJEC, and I don't want that, and you definitely do not want that. So just take it as inspiration. And then afterwards, you could mention the theories that you're going to introduce and could link to the question, and then introduce your text that you'll be doing as your last sentence as well. These are my definite do's for your paper. The exam is 2 hours and 30 minutes, so you should spend 50 minutes on each question. Ignore this. But I definitely think you should make a quick plan, a 5-minute plan, on what you're going to write, because you don't want to be forgetting the important points when you're writing through your essay. So a good plan before you start the essay is really good because you can easily look back at it. And make it obvious on what you're talking about to the examiner. Always refer back to the question. The examiner will award marks for points they understand. They aren't going to spend forever on your paper because they will probably have loads of other papers to mark. When mentioning a theory, include the theorist's name in brackets. It could give you extra marks. I don't know if that's true, but a teacher did tell me that to me last year. But even if it's not true, I would say do it anyway because it just shows that you have done some really good hardcore revision. Be very specific when showing textual analysis. When using theories, like use it liberally in your textual analysis, like put it in brackets like I just said. And also use media language and film language liberally because it is media studies and using media terminology will really impress them and it just shows you know your text very well. You should write a minimum of 3 to 4 pages on each question, but that depends on handwriting. But really, it's quality over quantity, so don't be intimidated if you don't reach the minimum. If you have finished early, remember to check your work, because if you are not 100% confident that you're going to get the grade, then there will definitely be some sentences that you could improve to get a higher mark. Also, I would say check the student room for predictions on the paper, because last year I checked the student room for predictions and it was the complete opposite to what I was expecting, and some of the opinions on there were actually correct. Some of the stuff actually did come up on the AS paper, so definitely do check what other people are thinking, but don't depend on it because they are just predictions. They aren't examiners or the ones creating the paper. And don't avoid the rest of your revision. A lot of genres have hybridization today. Many texts combine several conventions from other genres, such as like Skyfall, who have so many genres. They even have their own genre because they're such a long franchise. They've been going on for 50 years. Know the genre conventions of your text and how typical and untypical it is in them. You will notice that some genre conventions don't have clear-cut distinctions, as Daniel Chandler says here. Some genres do overlap. So like action and drama, they could have some similar conventions. And here are some useful theories. Genres are a convenience for producers and audiences. They are easy for distribution when releasing it to the cinemas or to stores. And it's more appealing to the audience if they know the genre, because they wouldn't go to something that they're not familiar with. Steve Neal says genres are instances of repetition and differences. Again, repetition is basically significant for genres because the audiences are familiar with it, and in order for it to be the genre, there has to be the conventions already created from it, if you get what I mean. Like, it wouldn't be the genre if it didn't have some of the conventions being repeated. But like having some elements that are different does create a variety and uniqueness to the text, and like it challenges the audience's expectations, and some of them might receive pleasure from that because it's different and it's interesting. Uh, Again, Daniel Chandler says it is difficult to make clear-cut distinctions. Bloomer and Katz's uses and gratifications. They suggest that audience receive pleasure from recognition of elements in a genre because they are familiar to it, so they have expectations already of the genre. Narrative. These are Roland Barthes' 5 codes. He suggested that there will be one or more of the 5 codes that describe the meaning of the text. He said that text may be open, unraveled in a lot of different ways, or closed. There is only one obvious thread to pull on. So, like, for example, the Enigma code, there are clues in it, but there are no answers given directly to the audience, and that makes the audience engage with the text even more and ask themselves, like, what's going to happen next. And they tend to frustrate the audience, and it intrigues them to be more active with the text. Action code, they are like the literal actions going on in the text, and they do create suspense to the text, but that depends on what they're doing. Like, if they're waving the hand, I don't really think that makes suspense. But yeah, it's just the literal action going on. Semantic code. This code refers to parts within the text that suggest or refers to additional meanings. It has an extra layer of meaning in addition to its literal meaning. Symbolic code. Symbolic code. This code is about symbolism within the text. It exercises opposites to show contrast and create greater meaning, tension, drama, and character development. This can be found in many other texts as well. This one's more specific to the text. This is more general and like wider. But yeah, definitely use this for textual analysis. This is how I would structure the theory into my sentences. There's also props character theory. This is useful to identify the roles that your characters have in your text, and you could notice that in some of your texts they might have more than one of these, and it just makes it clear which ones are the antagonists, protagonists, and you can justify this with textual analysis, such as like what they're wearing, how they're portrayed through like lighting, cinematography, and etc. And this is Todorov's narrative theory. This is a linear structure, so that's quite a simple narrative. There's also Levi Strauss's binary opposition, that's part of narrative. There's a lot of contrasting subjects, objects that could be found in any text, such as like a setting, it could be like rural versus urban, villain versus hero. This is good for representation as well, because there could be a countertype and a stereotype being represented in your text sometimes. And leading on to representation, these are some new theories that I didn't mention in my other theories video, but Judith Butler, she talks about gender trouble and how gender is a performance and is a social construction, and she's not a stereotypical housewife here, as you can see. And yeah, with this theory, you can use textual analysis to justify why they're a stereotypical representation, or why they are a pluralistic representation. Gauntlet's identity theory, he talks about Web 2, so the changing trends in the early stages of Web 1, so like the basic World Wide Web, such as websites through hyperlinks. Web 2 is more social networking sites, media sites such as Facebook and YouTube. Gauntlet says that there are more unique identities and different identities, and it just shows that it's not necessary to follow traditional understandings of gender anymore due to having access to Web 2. And there are many different countertypes and different personas created due to Web 2. You can easily be a different representation and be who you want to be, like Barbie says. You will see a lot of people on Instagram, for example, people like Lil Tay and Woah Vicky, who are just completely different to what they would be in real life. The Web2 can create a new you, and you can be different, and it's okay to be different. This is Racial Stereotypes by Alvarado. So we have the pitied, exotic, dangerous, and humorous. So ethnic groups are represented as deprived victims and victims of natural disasters. You may have seen a lot of charity campaigns representing them as vulnerable. So like through the shots of them looking up at you in desperation, the corrupt setting, and them being in poverty and in bad conditions. It just makes us sympathise for them and pity them. Ethnic groups are seen as different and as an other. They can be presented in a different way through clothing or appearance or what they eat, what they do. They can be positive or negative, but they are usually a construction in media texts. Dangerous. The ethnic group is portrayed as violent and a threat to society. For example, in like rap music videos, there are quite like violent messages being shown. Some of the shots can be quite threatening, and like it tries to portray them as dangerous. And because of these like music videos showing all of this stuff, it makes the stereotype even worse. And also humorous. Some media texts emphasize racial stereotypes for entertainment. They exaggerate recognizable features and attributes of ethnic minorities. Audience. You will get questions like audience response. So definitely use Stuart Hall's reception theory, and in your introduction, mention that many media texts are polysemic. They have different meanings. So there would be a dominant, negotiated, oppositional view depending on the psychometrics, demographics, class, social beliefs, age, ethnicity, etc. Audience appeal, they're ask you what does the text include that attracts a specific audience, and how has the text been constructed to appeal to that audience, like where is it being shot, is it aspirational to them, does it show an aspirational setting to attract aspirers with the Young and Rubicam 4Cs theory. Who's the actress or actor? Would the fan base be attracted to it? When is it being scheduled? Was it scheduled during a commercial break for football? Was it scheduled during a chick flick film? What are the shot types? What are the colours? A lot of textual analysis is good for this. And industry, these are useful for all industries, but this is quite brief because I know everyone does different things, and I just don't want to make it confusing. This is a marketing strategy theory. It's not really a theory, but it's just a technique. Above the line marketing is like more high production marketing, such as radio, TV, newspapers, etc. Through the line marketing is basic marketing, it's affordable. And then below the line marketing is like really cheap, on a budget type of marketing. So yeah, this is useful to like justify how successful your texts are, or how well marketed were your texts. Using above the line marketing attracts a wider audience and creates more action for your product, and basically creates more money for the company. And below the line marketing targets a specific audience and targets less of an audience, meaning less money. And with the industry question, make sure to mention audience as well. Likewise, with an audience question, make sure to cover industry. This does not make sense. Ugh, ignore this. Ugh. But yeah, those are some brief notes and tips. I hope that was useful. And if you have any questions, please let me know. These are some brief notes and bullet points for all of the Section A questions from 2012 to 2016. And yeah, I hope this will be useful. Do not depend on all of the bullet points being all of the answers, because they're just brief. There can be many other answers as well. So just use it as support. And yeah, with Section B, I've just left them on there as well for you to use for your own revision. But I do not want to confuse anyone because we all do different case studies. So yeah, I've just put them there in case you guys need them. So yeah, here they are. Please pause the video if you would like. Please pause the video on the specific slides that you would like to look at, as I will be going through these quite quickly. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was useful, even though it was quite general and quite brief. But if you guys do have any other questions, please do comment down below and I will answer as soon as possible. Good luck to everyone. I will try to upload my own case studies as well, if just in case anyone is doing the same as me from other schools. And yeah, I hope you guys get the grades that you want, and wishing you guys all the best. I'm sure you guys will do amazing. Do not forget to check my Memorize for the media course that I created to help memorize media terminology and film terminology as well. And also, don't forget to check my representation and audience theories video that I made last year, because AS revision is good for A2 revision as well. So yeah, good luck guys, and see you guys next time. Bye!